When we talk about entrepreneurship, we often assume that it's about coming up with an amazing idea and creating a new company and product. But starting from scratch isn't for everyone. We're going to talk about how to buy an existing business as an alternative option. And at the end, we'll also look at an easier and perhaps safer option than buying a new company outright. So why would you want to buy an existing business rather than start your own? Well, not everyone is suited to starting up a new business. Maybe you're struggling to come up with a novel idea, or maybe you want to skip the demoralizing first few months of scrabbling for customers while you bleed cash and stress about whether it is going to work or not. Statistics show that around 20% of new businesses fail within the first year. By buying an existing business, you immediately skip that first hurdle. In other words, we're reducing the risk of failure. If the business has already survived more than a year, then it's more likely to be viable in the long term. This way, you also avoid the risks involved in picking a location, a name, and getting the first customers in. It's like starting a race halfway through with a clearer view of the track. Plus, an existing business should already have all of the licenses, insurance, and contracts in place. If it's an industry that you aren't entirely familiar with, this can save you from expensive oversights and mistakes that you might have made as a startup. There may be things that you would never have thought of, but buying an existing business avoids expensive lessons. I understand if you're worried that buying an existing business won't feel like your baby. But let me ask you this: why do you want to run a business in the first place? Is it primarily for a better financial future or to fulfill your inner entrepreneurial spirit? There's no right or wrong answer here. Whether it's money, achievement, or both, it's good to know your motivations. Will you regret not creating your own business from scratch? Or can you be satisfied taking an existing business and building it into your vision? Sometimes we get locked into the idea that unless we do everything ourselves, that it isn't really ours. But perhaps you can switch that to be about taking an old business into a new era. What difference could you make to an existing business? Can you see where they are missing out? Are you better at adjusting than innovating? Are you better at running a business than setting one up? My best advice is to go with your natural strengths because you'll always be less stressed and enjoy it more. Now, let's talk about finding the right business to buy. Start by identifying industries that align with your skills, interests, and experience. This will ensure that you have a solid foundation to build upon. Don't buy a clothes shop if you know nothing about fashion. Next, research businesses that are available for sale in those industries, or maybe look for someone who might be retiring soon. Look for businesses with a strong customer base, stable revenue, and growth potential. You want to find a business that you can envision yourself running and growing for years to come. When looking at the customer base, check where their sales come from. If all their revenue comes from adverts and new customers, you could simply replicate their entire business model. They have no customer base. The advantage of an existing business should be that some people already know the business and use it regularly. When checking out the revenue, ask yourself these questions. Are there big fluctuations in expenses? How dependent on energy prices is the business? What's the cost of acquisition per customer? What's the cash flow situation? How much does the current owner pay themselves each month, and is that sustainable? Have they been investing in new equipment, or is it on its last legs? Would you have to spend significant amounts of new money to keep the business going for another 10 years? And don't forget to look at growth potential. You want a business that you can grow. So ask yourself, how scalable is the business? What would it cost to double sales? What are the limitations of the current infrastructure? What is being underutilized in the business? How much could you improve sales just by upselling? How much could you improve customer retention through improved communication? If you find yourself getting excited by the prospect of taking over the business, that's a great sign. But your gut should also tell you whether this is a dying business to avoid. Before finalizing any purchase, it's crucial to conduct due diligence to ensure that the business is a good investment. This involves thoroughly reviewing the financials, contracts, and legal obligations of the business. I highly recommend hiring a professional to assist you with this process. They'll help you uncover any potential risks or hidden issues that may affect the business's future success. In the same way that you wouldn't buy a house without getting a survey, don't buy a business without getting it checked out thoroughly. Negotiating the price of a business is a critical step in the buying process. It's important to do your research and determine the fair market value based on the business's financial performance and industry standards. The danger is that you'll get too excited about running the business and just want the purchase out of the way. But spending a little more time here to negotiate can pay off big time in the future. You're probably going to be buying the business with borrowed money, so every dollar you can save is also going to save you on interest payments later. If someone is selling their business, then they also probably want this done quickly, which gives you some leverage for reducing the price. And finally, be prepared to walk away. There will always be more opportunities, or you could simply set up your own business. Now you know exactly how they run theirs. Now, let's talk about financing the purchase. You have a few options here. You can use your own savings, borrow money from friends and family, or take out a loan from a bank or other financial institution. It may seem like a scary step, but getting professional advice on the best financing options for your situation can make it much easier. And here's the exciting part. The cost of buying an existing business is often lower than starting from scratch. Plus, you're more likely to get a loan to buy an existing business than to start one up. So, you're already 2 steps ahead. When it comes to transferring ownership of a business, there are legal and administrative processes involved. To ensure everything goes smoothly, work with a lawyer and accountant. They'll help you prepare all the necessary documents, including a purchase agreement, license transfers, and contract updates with suppliers and customers. This way, you can ensure a seamless transition of ownership and start your journey as the proud owner of an existing business. Again, don't try to save money by doing it yourself. It's never a good idea. At the start, I promised you a way of doing this that's easier and cheaper. And that's to go in as a partner with the existing owner for 12 months. This could be a 50-50 split, or maybe you'll join as a junior partner owning 40%. This strategy allows you to get to know the business, the team, and assess whether you're the right fit for each other. The existing owner will stay on, either full or part-time. Or maybe they'll only stay on in an advisory capacity. The idea is that you have shared ownership, so you're both responsible for the business for a fixed period of time. Obviously, working with the existing owner as they phase themselves out of the business can potentially be messy, but it can be a really strong option for both of you. If you aren't sure about how to run the business, for instance, if you've never run a restaurant before, this is your chance to learn on the job. Working inside the business will give you a really strong view of what's working and what's not before you complete the second half of the purchase. The contract for this arrangement may be relatively complicated, so will require a contract lawyer. If you found this video useful or it got you thinking in a new way, please do subscribe to the channel.